Season 5 of Voltron premiered March 2nd of 2018, and like every other season of Voltron, I binge-watched it. Now, a lot of things happened in this season, some really important things that we've been waiting for to happen since Season 1. And the first one I want to talk about is actually in Episode 1, called The Prisoner, which is Pidge's father. So now a lot of Voltron fans all over, I'm sure, either almost cried or did cry when Pidge reunited with Matt, her brother. And now here we are in the beginning of Season 5, finding out what happened to their father. He's been imprisoned in this prison that Prince Lotor was actually in charge of at one point. Which brings me to the actual storyline and theme of this season of the Paladins working together with Prince Lotor. I think the writers are doing a really good job in making the Paladins and us think that he's a good guy. He's giving up all of this secret information about the Gulra. The Paladins are just swooping in and doing all these easy missions, destroying space stations, battle stations, and the pinnacle of this information is the location of Pidge's father. The second thing, which I don't know if it was a major theme, but I definitely noticed it, that we've been waiting for since Season 1, is we've been seeing a lot of character growth with Lance. As we know, Lance is the fun-loving, class clown, goofy type of paladin. But as the seasons have been progressing, there's a lot of scenes where Lance is doubting himself or is noticing his shortcomings, which then leads to him growing in little increments. But Lance is now the paladin of the Red Lion, which, when it comes to the team and where he sits on the team, that's the right arm, that's the right hand. He's no longer the leg, he's the right-hand man. And as we know, when Keith was a paladin piloting the Red Lion, he was the right-hand man to Shiro. So just already his position on the team has been elevated. But in this season, it seems that Lance has a little bit more of a leadership foresight and is actually thinking very clearly and can, I don't want to say see things before they happen, but is able to make better educated decisions when it comes to what Voltron's next step is going to be. It's actually Shiro himself who seems to be not thinking very clearly. And this is demonstrated in multiple scenes throughout the season where Shiro is agreeing with Lotor a little bit too much. And at first we just think, okay, Shiro is being a leader, but then he yells at Lance, and that was very out of character for him, so we're kind of just like, what's going on here? But then our fears were actually confirmed when all of the Paladins entered that void together, and Shiro doesn't show up right away. And in the void, when all the Paladins start leaving, it's just Shiro and Lance together, and Shiro's trying to call out, say something to Lance, and we don't get to hear what that is. Even at the end of the season, we still don't know what that was. And then to make it even worse, there's a scene between Shiro and Lance where Shiro has to ask Lance, hey, when we were in that void, what happened? Because A, I blacked out, and B, things have been weird lately. But to backtrack a little bit, obviously there's something very important that I left out, which is the death of Zarkon. Again, Prince Lotor is doing a really awesome job in making the Paladins think that he's a good guy. And who knows, maybe he is. It seemed like Shiro already trusted Lotor, but now Lotor has earned the trust of the rest of the Paladins by killing his father. And so now the idea is to get this peaceful Lotor, this peace-loving Lotor, back on the throne, back leading the Gulra, so that he can now bring peace. But of course, not even that can be an easy task. Now there's this whole event called the Kralzera, where all of the Gulra leaders, all of like the top leaders, the top fighters or thinkers, are now fighting for the throne, and now Lotor has to go fight all of them for the throne, and obviously he wins. There is a lot more to it than that. I am totally paraphrasing, but I don't think all of it is incredibly important for us to talk about right now. And still, to the end of this season, we still think that that's happening. We still think that Prince Lotor is a good guy. Again, I don't trust him, but we don't know yet. Now, last but not least, that brings us to Keith. We didn't really get to see a lot of Keith in this season, and that's because he's no longer the Red Paladin. He's part of the Blade of Marmora. But something absolutely important happens to him, or for him, in this season. One of the tasks that is given to Keith is that he has to meet up with this spy of the Blade, and her name's Krolia. And right off the bat, when you see her, you notice that she doesn't look like the rest of the Gulra. She happens to be a little prettier than the rest of the Gulra. So I thought at first maybe this is gonna be a romantic relationship for Keith. But it was not that, it was actually the opposite and something even better. As we all know, Keith carries around that Gulra sword that only he can open. It was given to him by his father. But when his rendezvous with Krolia doesn't go according to plan, there's a point where she picks up his sword and now he's confused. So she then has to explain to him that the sword used to be hers. And we, as an audience, all know that Keith has finally found his mother. I don't know about you, but the season could have ended there and I would have been fine with it. I loved that scene. But that's what this show is so good at. Honestly, every episode ends and I want to watch the next one. Now, there is one thing that I was a little bit confused about, which was a recurring theme throughout the season. I thought that Haggar already knew that Lotor was her son. Does she not remember who she was? Does she not remember the past? And that she's Altean, and that she was married to Zarkon? Does she not remember any of that stuff? Because in the beginning of the season, we see her having that vision where you see Lotor growing up, and she says, my son, Lotor, like she's just realizing this now. Now, maybe I'm just reading that scene wrong, and I'm just not understanding it correctly, but it comes back up later when Princess Allura and Lotor are having that conversation where Allura's kind of realizing, wait a minute, so this happened, this happened, this happened. Is it possible that Haggar is your mother? And Lotor says, that witch is not my mother. Now, that can mean a few different things. As Obi-Wan Kenobi would say, from a certain point of view. Yes, that witch is not my mother. She's changed into something else, or that witch is just not my mother. She's a totally different person. Kind of like how Obi-Wan said, well, Darth Vader killed your father. Not your father, who he was, is dead, and now is Darth Vader, and they're actually the same person. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. I would love to hear your opinion on that, because again, it confuses me a little bit, but I think I see where they're going. So that's it. That's all I have to say about Voltron Season 5. I really liked it like I like every other season. I really actually love this show. It makes me really want an animated version of Power Rangers. I know that's not related, but it makes me really want that. So if you're watching this video and you happen to enjoy it, please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. You can follow me on social media, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat and all that good stuff. I tried Vero. I don't understand it yet. So thank you very much, everybody, for geeking out with me today about Voltron Season 5. You have been watching Geek Level Asian, and I will see you next time.